What if the key to building a top ranked mortgage company wasn't finance, but psychology? Meet Andrew Russell, a former guidance counselor and football coach who transformed his deep understanding of human behavior into a mortgage empire. With a master's in psychology and zero background in finance, Andrew entered the mortgage industry during the 2008 financial crisis, a moment where others were running for the hills. But instead of spreadsheets, Andrew led with empathy, and that changed everything. In 2017, Andrew founded RCG Mortgage on Long Island with just two team members. Today, it's the number one mortgage broker in New York and ranked number 11 nationwide. But the numbers don't tell the whole story. Andrew built a company around people, clients, realtors, and employees with a culture rooted in service, transparency, and human connection. His background in counseling so fuels his leadership style. His insights into fear, stress, and life's big decisions make him a trusted guide in one of the most stressful transactions people face: buying a home. Andrew's story isn't about selling loans. It's about redefining leadership, scaling trust, and turning a very human skill set into an unexpected superpower in business. This is a story about reinvention, emotional intelligence, and building a business where people come first and the numbers follow. And before we start the episode, a quick word from our sponsor, Deep Wealth and the Deep Wealth Mastery Program. Here's Bill, a graduate, who says the Deep Wealth Mastery Program has transformed the KPIs we're using to accelerate growth and profits. Or how about Emery, who says, and I love this, and I quote, the Deep Wealth Mastery Program helped me create the right mindset for both growing my business and later my future exit. I now know what questions to ask, what to do and not to do, which is priceless. The team and I have found dangerous skeletons and gaps that we're now addressing due to the Deep Wealth Program. Today, our actions have a massive ROI. Absolutely love that. And now, speaking of growth and adding value, check out what Bruce says. And I quote, as a business owner, I'm always looking for new programs, systems, CEO peer groups, and strategies to improve my business. Hands down, the Deep Wealth Mastery Program is the absolute best. I'm both growing my business and preparing for a future exit at the same time. It doesn't get any better. And I got to tell you, as I hear these testimonials, this is exactly why I do what I do. My mission, the team's mission here at Deep Wealth, is to literally change the social fabric of society, one business owner at a time and one liquidity event at a time. The Deep Wealth Mastery Program, it's the only one based on a 9-figure deal. And that deal, that was my deal. You know my story. I said no to a 7-figure offer. I created a system that we now call Deep Wealth Mastery, and that's exactly what helped myself and my business partners welcome from a different buyer, a different offer, a 9-figure deal. So if you're interested in growing your profits, preparing for a future liquidity event, whether that's 3 years away or 33 years away, and if you want to optimize your post-exit life, Deep Wealth Mastery is for you. Please email success@deepwealth.com. Again, that's success, SUCCESS, at deepwealth.com. We'll send you all the information about the Deep Wealth Mastery Program, otherwise known as the Scale for Ultimate Sales System. Better yet, why not hop on a complimentary strategy call? We'll see where you are at your business and what's standing between you and your financial independence and your dreams. So that's where you want to be. You want to be with other successful business owners, entrepreneurs, and founders just like you who are looking to create market disruptions. Whether you're a startup, whether you've been in business for 3 or 4 decades, whether you're manufacturing, whether you're high tech, SaaS, low tech, whatever the case may be, come on in and network with other business owners, with other businesses just like you, because they all want to lock in their financial freedom and enjoy both success and fulfillment. Again, the 90-day Deep Wealth Mastery Program, it has your name on it. All you need to do is take the next step. Please send an email to success@deepwealth.com. Deep Wealth Nation, welcome to another episode of the Deep Wealth Podcast. So all you entrepreneurs, founders, business owners, I've got a question for you. Are you looking for success strategies? Are you stuck where you are and you want to go from here to there? And of course, you said, Jeffrey, yes. Show me where. What do I do? How far do I have to jump? Well, you've come to the right place. We have a very special guest in the house of Deep Wealth. Andrew, welcome to the Deep Wealth Podcast. It's a true pleasure to have you. Man, your story, you are a success. Look up in the dictionary, your pictures there with what you did in an incredibly competitive industry and business. But I'm going to put a pause on it because there's always a story behind the story. So let's go back to the beginning. What's your story? Andrew, what got you from where you were to where you are today?
Well, thank you, Jeffrey. That is some opening. I feel like that's the nicest opening I ever had in my life. So let's make sure we're best friends forever. My story is, I think, as many entrepreneurs, not to say entrepreneurs come from tumultuous past or trauma, a lot of entrepreneurs, they've come from an upbringing where maybe they're a self-sabotage. Or I could tell you myself, I've suffered with self-sabotage. And I bring that up because I get bored or had gotten bored very easy. So in college, high school, was very easy for me to do very well, doing very little. I was definitely gifted with a good memory and things of the sort. But with that, I don't think I would consider myself an underachiever for quite some time. After college, what was I going to do? I got into, believe it or not, I was really cool in my 20s and I did security in the Hamptons. So I had the best time doing it. I'm not going to say it really pressed the agenda forward on entrepreneurship nor any type of career, but it was an amazing time. And I think outside of that, eventually people like myself, maybe people that are listening, like something clicks in their head, like, hey, I got to do something with my life. I have a lot of gifts and I'm getting older. At the time, I was like, all right, I'm a big psychology guy. I got a master's psychology, big into why people are what they are, why they act like they act, why they say what they say. And I really dove into, actually, probably the first time that I really was interested in school studies. And I got pretty deep into the psych world. And I was a guidance counselor for a hot minute. And then guidance counseling was a great job. But from a financial perspective, you talk about deep wealth. I had a lot of student loans. I had a lot of bills. And I was making, I'll never forget, 1090 every 2 weeks. So I was broke. And I came from certainly a family that had money. They did very well, but I wasn't the type of person to really reach out and say, hey, I need money. That would have been very humbling, embarrassing. It wasn't a career that I could pursue just because my student loans at the time were $1,800 a month. And of course, it's like, oh, be a guidance counselor, get a master's in psychology, be a football coach, live the dream, without saying all the student loans and things to get you there it's not sustainable. So after doing that and realizing I have to pivot, change careers, I luckily was somebody that I knew. I had done mortgage and telemarketing for a short while, and they said, hey, why don't you make that a career? We know a lot of people doing very well. So as luck would have it, I started right at the crash. Literally, I did one subprime loan. I'm sure you've heard of them, these magic loans, there's movies made about them. I did one of them. And then all of a sudden, the rug came out and the mortgage business, quote unquote, crashed. But to me, there were people that were making hundreds of thousands of dollars a month, not even a year, a month. And I was a guidance counselor making $5,000 a month. So my first big month, I made like 15,000. I remember, that's what entrepreneurial, 15,000 in New York, where I'm from, after taxes, single on paper with zero dependents. I netted $7,000, $8,000. And I was like, this is crazy. Where's all that money going? But my point is, I was in my head, I'm rich. So I came into a business and grew, and I am where I am today because I didn't come in with these inflated income needs. I came in at a great time. So my trajectory has only been in the business. It's only ever gotten harder. So I started in the business. I grew very fast. Wrong or different, my last name's Russell. The Russell genetics, we have the gift of gab. And so in mortgage, it's a psychology, it's a therapeutic, it's a counseling thing. So Jeffrey, if you're going to buy a home, you give me a call. It's not like, hey, we have a product. I'll give it to you for $1.50 when it costs $1.75 down the street. So that's not really what we're doing here. It's like, all right, Jeff, cool. Tell me about yourself. Are you married? Do you have kids? Have you ever bought anything before? Where'd you go to college? I'm just curious. And you build that relationship and that kind of therapeutic bond, that counselor type feel where they know and trust you. And I did very well. I got into doing purchase business, which is very, like I said, counselor versus actual sales. And it seemed every couple years when I was doing well, one of the things specifically, I'm not afraid of change. I'm not afraid of, to the point of our conversation, leaving at a time of the height, knowing I'm going to do even better. That's hard. My parents are like, how much you make last year? First year in the business, made $150,000, right? They're like, well, what'd you make as a guidance counselor? I made 50. You tripled your income and you're leaving? You quit? What's wrong with you? You crazy? And I think at the time that was even more than they were making. I just had that much confidence in myself, which is part of being an entrepreneur, that I knew if I put my mind to something and it made sense and I thought about it and I thought about it and I really put a business plan together, I never had fear of a new challenge where I thought the upside was higher. So I did that in my career a lot of times before I opened up my own mortgage company, believe it or not. I left the next company, I think my ceiling was like 300,000 and I was making 300. And it was me. I was in a little townhouse I was renting with a cool Lexus and a Pomeranian dog. So what could my bills have been? And then I did it again. I was like, cool, I think there's more upside here. And I did very well there. Then I did it again. And that's when I made the 2 comma club for the first time, which was exciting. I'm not the type of person to bounce around just to bounce around. I just love opportunity. I love going after it, getting after it. And then I saw at the time, wow, these weird things called mortgage brokers that went out of business when I first started are making a huge comeback. So there's 4 institutions, just to put in perspective, that a loan officer can work for when they're doing a mortgage residential in America. There's a big bank, Wells, Chase, Citizens. There's a credit union in our area, Teachers Federal, Bethpage Federal, Jovia. There's a mortgage bank, big banks like Cross Country, lenders like Rate now, used to be called Guaranteed Rate. And then there's mortgage brokers. So mortgage brokers, these companies where we can sign on with multiple lenders. We're the middle person. We make typically a flat amount based on loan size. But in the crash, they all basically went out of business because there's a lot of regulation and they were blamed for it and a lot of backstory there. So then I saw in 2015, 16, that, man, these brokers are like, they have access to all this cool product, because when you're at a broker company, if you just think about it conceptually, if you work for one place, you can only offer what that one place has. If you work with all the places, you can offer what the market has, which is cool. I'm the type of person, again, from the entrepreneurial side, I grew up second place is first loser. That was always beaten into, and I was a baseball, then football guy, played football in college. Second place is first loser. So how do I bring that to the business world? You have to be at a broker, because if you, Jeffrey, is a realtor working for Keller Williams and you refer a client, imagine out of 10 clients, I can only service 7, where if a broker who has access to all the product could service 10. So I'm like, all right, you know what? I'm going to open up my own company and become an entrepreneur and a businessman. Before I did it, I'm a big, I don't know if you call it reassurance. I joke with a lot of people, like, you need the reassurance pudding, right? A nice little scoop of the reassurance pudding. So what did I do? I went to another mortgage broker before mine while I was waiting for my license to pull through, to run it all in, to make sure this isn't something over my pay grade before I put all my chips in the middle. So that was the key to my success first. Like, I didn't dip my foot in the water. It just wasn't my actual company. I did that first before opening my own company. It took a couple of years for the license. And then in 2017, April, we finally got the company license. When I tell you, Jeffrey, everybody said I'd fail. Don't do it. What are you, crazy? All the regulation. Are you nuts? You're doing so well. Why? And there's just something, I don't know if it's a problem with authority. When people tell me I can't do it, I just have this like wild burning desire to prove them wrong. Just I'm a competitor, whatever it is. I'm sure there's some stuff going on there. I got my license in April of 2017. I started me and 2 people. Fast forward several years later, we've won Broker of the Year 3 years in a row. Top originating team across the country. I think we were number 10 the other year across the country. A team of 40 people. And we're still diving into AI and still growing. So we have a really good success story. But I definitely have learned, I'm the type of people that they learn things either the hard way or the easy way. I am the hard way through and through. I love figuring things out. It's just the entrepreneur in me. Put something in front of me, put a problem, I'll tell you 10 different solutions. I enjoy that. Definitely made a lot of mistakes. As an example, in 2017, I won an award through NAMBY, who gave me Broker of the Year 3 years in a row recently. They gave me $10,000 in a Kickstart award for new brokers with their new license. They gave me $10,000. I had a great resume and I had a lot of letters of recommendation. So when I first got my first fixed cost space, like tip number 1 for entrepreneurs, there's always this thing, I don't know if it's like FOMO or compete with the Joneses, fixed cost rental space is the death of cash flow. So I knew that I can get a bloated office space that'll crush my initial liquidity and cash flow. And I didn't do that. But my mistake was I applied for a space without knowing in the state of New York, you have to approve the space first with the New York State Bank Department, the regulatory agencies. Turns out the space I liked, there was a previous mortgage company that I believe went out of business. They didn't do it right, because when you have a branch there, you have to surrender it I guess there's fear of documentation, social security numbers, computers, whatever it is. I didn't do that research. I didn't know. I'm sure I could have asked somebody. I didn't know. I spent $18,000 renovating it. And I was like waiting to move in. It's all ready. And I'll never forget the email from the regulator. You've been denied to use that as a locate. Yep. So my first $10,000 turned into negative $8,000. That was a nice lesson learned. But like I said, our company growth, and anyone in the mortgage business right now in America, it's certainly a little bit bumpy. One of those things where it's a very regulated business and there's a lot of market stuff going on. I've had a great journey and we'll continue. We're only in the beginning phases, but I'm not going to tell you I'm sitting here with this big social media following and this big company and successful. And we've made several million a year in revenue without making wild mistakes.
Absolutely. Love that story. So much of the entrepreneurial journey wrapped up in that. And Depot Nation, if you're listening to this saying, hey, Andrew sounds like a great guy, but mortgages, not my thing. Why am I even going to listen to this? What I love about Andrew and his story, it's about success. And Andrew, I'll share with you when I look back to my e-learning company, and I had no idea what I was doing, truth be told. Looking back, though, some of my biggest breakthroughs came from conversations exactly like this. I would speak to other successful entrepreneurs who were sharing things that I had never thought of, hadn't even heard of, but it worked. And I took that and I applied those best practices to my company, my industry. Guess what? It worked as well. And when you look at your journey, now I know this is the highlight reel and we're not showing, it's not a straight line. And you went from a zig and a zag over to here, over to there. But you start off in the worst possible time to get into the industry. We had the big crash in '07, '08. And you're walking away from what some people would say at the top of your game, 150K, then 300K. You're walking away, hey, I think I can do better. And by the way, while you're doing this, you're coming from a very humble background as a guidance counselor, a football coach, and you love psychology. That's all great. On paper, you should never have worked. You should never have succeeded. That's what I love about entrepreneurs. We defy the odds. We turn impossible into I'm possible. And you took your lookings along the way. But then in 2017, as you mentioned, you started RCG Mortgage and you quickly became number one broker in New York, across the nation. Hey, that's no accident. So go back to your story for just a moment. When you look back growing up, was there a particular incident or was it a number of experiences that helped position you to get to where you are today?
I was big into sports. Sports teaches you how to work with the team. It teaches you. I mean, listen, I'm a sore loser, man. I am a sore loser.
Aren't
It's
we
fun.
all?
Williamsport is big when you're 12 in baseball. And like our
Yeah.
team at the time was really big. And turns out we didn't make it. They accused us of something about the team was put together with, I guess, people in other towns that shouldn't have been there. Like we could have made it, I believe. I remember at 12 and they like ended up kicking us out of the league. And I just remember, I don't think I talked for like 2 days. I was so competitive. My parents, they didn't think necessarily I needed therapy. I probably needed therapy, but I've just always been hyper, super competitive. I think that's just a big part of it. I just remember specifically my grandfather saying, second place, first loser. And he's Poppy, my grandfather's a reason for a lot in my life. I named my oldest daughter Danielle after him, after Daniel. But I just remember that was being competitive. We were just a very competitive family. I've always loved math. Obviously, it correlates well to mortgage, but psychology, just like sitting, listening to someone, letting someone talk, listening to them. I've just always had that. So a little bit was my biology. A lot of it was a little bit of environment. So I think between the two, it married itself together, and then here I am.
A couple of things. So, firstly, I've always viewed New York, as the saying goes, if you can make it there, you can make it everywhere because it is not the easiest of environments. And so you look back, second place, first loser. From today's standards, some people would look at that and say, wow, he was emotionally taken down the wrong path or this or that, all those other words. We're not even going to get into that. But then I look at today at what's going on. Hey, Jeffrey, you finished seventh place. Here's a ribbon. Congratulations. Terrific. So, having seen what's going on today, Andrew, and having grown up with second place, first loser, and that pressure on you, where's the right, I'm not going to say balance, where's the right kind of blend from lessons learned from what you went through to what you want for your children?
Yeah, I think that it's to your point, what I've learned, especially as of late. Last couple weeks ago, I went to United Wholesale Mortgage. They had their yearly. United Wholesale Mortgage is owned by Matt Ishbia. He's similar age. He's worth about 11 billion. He owns the biggest mortgage company in the country, and he owns Phoenix Suns. The guy is entrepreneur beyond entrepreneur. You know what I learned from him? And I've had, as an entrepreneur, I'm sure this correlates to many. I've been like, I own the company. Why do I have to be the one to work the hardest? How is that fair? I'm paying all these people. And what did he say? When he grew the company in Michigan, he woke up at 3 a.m. and he got to the office at 4. And the average employee, he has thousands, maybe even 10,000, got there at 9 on it. He's there at 4. So what I realized, based on second place first loser or rewarding seventh place, at the end of the day, entrepreneurs out there, unless you have a silver spoon, which most of us don't, no one is going to do it for you. No one is going to work as hard as you're going to work. No one's going to care as hard or as much as you care about your thing. It's your baby. It's your thing. It's your laundromat. It's your AI new technology, right? It's your new software, SaaS. It's your new service you're providing. Like whatever it is, it's your thing. So you have to either be okay that other people are just not going to do the thing that you're going to do, or you're going to have to look in the mirror when you wake up and just say, whomever you believe in is really the only person there with you. You're going to have to find a way to put in the work and do the thing. That's really the thing that I learned, is that, again, second place first loser is super harsh, but I did learn that you're going to have to, you say smarter, not harder. I believe that you have to work smart. And that's a key to my success. Is I had a great business plan. I knew that so similar to being a guidance counselor or teacher, you get tenure. Tenure is basically you have a job forever. That's ultimately what it is with teaching. After 3 or 5 years, if you do a great job, there's a union, you get a job forever. In my head, I was like, well, if I kick butt in purchase mortgage, people always buy houses. Listen, even in the pandemic, people bought houses. So if I can cement myself and if I could be a leader of the industry, let alone the area in purchase, and that's my value prop and that's my mission statement, I will kick butt. Shocker, that's the case. Along with that, you always have to course correct. You always have to stay current with the times. So social media, about 2 years ago. So let's start over. When I opened my company to gain realtors business, you have to help them. I said, everybody's on social media. At the time, it was predominantly Facebook. So what can we do as a company to educate realtors? We call them realtor partners, to give them the ability to do more on social and then refer us. So that was our big thing. So we used to coach up and train agents on how to grow social. Cool. We did very well. Purchase business. My business plan was fantastic. Now, 2 years ago, I realized, where's Andrew in all this? Where's my 5-star reviews? What if I told you, Jeffrey, I've worked with over 10,000 people, and as of 2-3 years ago, I had 2 5-star reviews. The market's not, they almost aren't going to believe you. And it's like one of those people on social you see now, I help these people make all this money. And we're like, you have 3 followers and you don't even have a YouTube channel. 2 years ago, we brought it in-house, actually own a digital marketing agency. And we were helping realtors on there and with education and all the tools. So 2 years ago, my team, shout out to Greg. Greg's half my age. He's one of those young wizards. Amazing. He's a hire of a century. He said, Andrew, and he's really nice. He's like, let me ask you a question, broski. Why aren't you doing this? And I said, I don't know. So he convinced me. At the time, I have 2 little kids, 2 daughters. I thought TikTok is where you learn how to dance, straight up. Instagram, I didn't really use it much. So 2 years ago, I was like, all right, I'm going to do it smart again, get into the social media space, do more content. And fast forward now, we're nearing 50,000 followers on Instagram. We have 130,000 on TikTok. We're nearing 200,000 across all platforms. So that's been like a pivot. I think in business, Mike Tyson always says, you always have a plan to get punched in the face. The same thing being an entrepreneur. You have a great plan, but the second you stay still, you're moving backwards because things change in all the spaces pretty much overnight. That's been a big pivot we've done to work smart. To my point, you have to work hard. You have to. I'm a big believer now in my night routine sets up my morning routine. I'm a big morning routine guy. I like to wake up now. I was trying to wake up at 5. After the Madish be a 3 a.m. thing. Now on purpose, I just started. It's funny. As of what's today? As of 2 days ago, I started waking up at 3:50. Why? Just to do it. And you know what it's done? My productivity and just how I feel at the end of the day has gone through the roof. But I'm only telling you this because it's one thing to be an entrepreneur and work smart and have a great business plan. There's no secret sauce. You have to work hard. And that's something where that was never told to me. That's just something organically I picked up along the way. I've had a little bit of not the woe is me entrepreneurial. Oh, why does it have to be me? Isn't anyone going to work? And then you realize over time, you read the books, the Dan Martell books and the Atomic Habit books and Tony Robbins stuff, that if it's your baby, sure, working smart is great. Everyone says you got to work smarter, not harder. I would not agree. In this market, if you're a mortgage professional, let alone entrepreneur, in your first years and cash flow is important to you, which it should be, you know what on the line with an SBA loan or whatever it is, working hard, you're going to have to be deep into the business. And that means potentially not seeing your friends as much. It means potentially not doing the stuff at night. It means potentially going to bed early. I find what really happens after 8, 9 o'clock at night. Nothing. So I try to wind down early. That's hard for me. Like it just makes sense to stay up, watch TV, watch a Netflix show, do those things. I've sacrificed. I don't think could even tell you the last time I watched a Netflix show, and that's only because my night routine sets up my morning routine. So right now, my key to success is purely working smart, business plan, an OCD guide, making sure I have a plan. I think about it. I think about it. I pull up the holes now with ChatGPT, right? Tell me if you're an investor, the 100 holes in this business model that I'm trying to do. But outside of that, nobody out hustles me.
Okay, so I hear that work ethic, and yeah, as entrepreneurs, and Andrew, to your point, I remember my startup. I would say to myself, Jeffrey, you are working insane. You have an insane lifestyle. It's not going to be something that you can do for decades and decades, but do it now so you don't have to do it later. So you can establish yourself, get yourself out there, become the market leader. I'm absolutely with you on that. So I love what you're saying that your nighttime sets up your morning, your day, and your success. So you're waking up at 3:50 a.m. When you call it a night, what what's going on? What time is that? And what are you doing before bed? And what's that like for you?
So I've mastered at the office. It's funny, like when I was younger, 20s and 30s, probably I would take, if I took a nap, two,
Yep.
3 hours. I've mastered this thing of like 10, 15, 20-minute power nap where like your body shakes. And it's like
Yep.
one of those things. I'm not going to tell you that during the day, that a downtime, you need that here and there, but it's good. I think that for me, the reason that I'm able to do it is you have to and I feel like I focus on the wrong things as I was growing a business before. If I've learned anything, this is now what, 8 years later. If you're like, hey, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm growing my business, I'm going to wake up at 3, 4 a.m., I'm going to work on it all day, I'm going to come home, go to bed, do it all tomorrow. That's actually wrong. You have to allocate time for your body as a machine, right? So who is performing that entrepreneurial stuff? It's the person, the body, right? The brain. The body has to be healthy and optimized. So to do that, I realized you can't, Jeffrey, just go to the office and drink Red Bull all day and sit in a chair and just that's unhealthy. Again, Greg on my team, he said his generation in their 20s are saying sitting at work all day, eating bad and doing energy drinks is the new smoking because
Yeah.
that's what people do. I was a college athlete, next to sitting at a desk, eating poorly, drinking Red Bull. So for me, it's the night routine sets up the ability to wake up early so I can then go to the gym. I find my anxiety goes down to a 2. When I do that, I can handle problems. I have more energy. So that's a big thing with my entrepreneurial journey. I realize, right? Body balance being business, all the B's that everyone talks about. People focus on business. And that's almost like the last thing for me because I focus on you wake up and you have the body stuff, meaning are you waking up at a good time? Drinking, as like they talk about entrepreneurs trying to stop drinking, that's a thing, but it really does help. I've done 75 hard a few times, seen big results just from a business perspective, just because of the health side of it. The early morning wake ups, which then rolls into the getting your mind. I'm not an affirmation guy. I'm like a Goggins, Jocko, go kick butt type guy. But it does help getting the right space, being confident, doing all that great stuff. And then I go to the gym. I drive 30 minutes because there's one gym in this area that's like a nice meathead gym, like cool machines, cool bro vibe. It just gets me in a great headspace, have a nice lift and a little cardio these days, lose a couple pounds. And the days I don't do that, as a frame of reference, on Thursday mornings, if I bring my kids to school, I can't go to the gym. So in the morning, I find my productivity, my output, my headspace, my anxiety, it's a complete 180. For me, it's now non-negotiable. And that's just, again, trial and tribulations. I made all the mistakes of, what do? You go to bed late, you wake up early, you drink a lot of energy drinks, and you just work. And that's what you do. And you just work. Dan Martrell talks about in one of his books how he was able to really unplug, but a new entrepreneur is on his phone, on his emails 24/7. I've learned don't do that. Put your body first, get in great shape mentally and physically, and then learn how to delegate. And I'm still getting better, the worst delegator in the history of America. No one was worse. The Buy Back Your Time book was pretty sure written for me. Every entrepreneur, if you guys haven't read that book, it's an amazing book, but it's just a book about people that are great at what they do. They're a white unicorn, but then they have a problem delegating and then scaling from there. So that's something that's been a recent thing for me as well. And I've learned that through a lot of trials and tribulation.
Okay, so a lot going on there, but what I'm hearing you say is, hey, it's not plant your butt in the seat at 3 a.m. or 4 a.m. and stay there till 8 p.m., go home, repeat, do it all again. You're deliberately taking care of your body. You're taking breaks. You're getting the right amount of sleep. You're taking some naps as needed, which, by the way, I do as well. Absolute game changer in terms of, is, hey, I just woke up from an 8 hour sleep from that
Literally.
20-minute meditation for me, or sometimes a nap. So I'm right there with you. And I want to go back to something. Now, you called it an interest in psychology, and you have some experience with that and some formal education with that. My hunch, though, is if we just remove the title, something with you and being interested and curious about people and the human condition, what's going on there? Because it sounds like that played a big role in you becoming successful as you worked your way through eventually to where you are right now. So, what's going on with that?
Yeah, I grew up in the divorce landscape, as pretty much I think 90% of kids do. And it's one of those things when things happen and there's changes, you want to understand why. You want to understand why people, when you're young, the young mind, why do people do certain things? A lot of my friends, they were coming up in divorced households. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's the very systemic now, obviously. And so that kind of morphed me into really obsessing over why do people do what they do? Why do they say what they say? Why are their actions what they are? And then that just turned into a fascination. So I've always been very cerebral. I was super introverted growing up. Believe it or not, now it's like I'm a professional extrovert, or at least it appears that way. I don't think I am, but it looks like I am. And I've just been always hyper curious on that. And it's just more environmental, wondering why when you grow up and things change, why does it have to change? And almost what could I have controlled? And then you just get into that. And then as you start studying about it, it really starts to fascinate you on all the different psychologies and the behavioral psychologies and the reality therapies or the Freudian stuff. Are you stuck in a stage, or where are you in terms of the siblings? In other words, individual psychology. Are you firstborn? Are you a middle child? Are you a last child? The youngest? All the different dynamics. I think my upbringing morphed into my, you wouldn't say a morbid curiosity, but a curiosity on what makes people tick and why are they how they are.
Interesting. Okay, so you got the curiosity going. I absolutely love that. And Andrew, I also get the sense that for so many people, they could be working really hard, but it's so easy to confuse activity with progress. And that's not the case with you. So, what would be looking back at your success? You really catapulted from, again, being a teacher all the way through now to being a very successful entrepreneur. Are there any particular strategies that stand out for you? And maybe it's not a fair question. It's like asking, hey, which is your favorite child? Are there some strategies, though, that worked better for you that really stand out? Yeah, when I started doing this, I took my success to the next level. Or when I stopped doing that, that was a game changer.
Yeah, that's a great question, Jeffrey. I would say it's almost twofold. So, how do you define entrepreneur out there, Mr. or Mrs. Entrepreneur? How do you define a full day working? Is it going to the office, having coffee, reading your emails, just reading your emails, or is it output based? That's something where I've realized that even people in sales, like in our industry, they're like, oh, I don't understand my production, the amount of loans I'm closing, or even entrepreneurs, the amount of units I'm selling, or the amount of software I'm selling. I don't understand. It's not where I want. And I would say, well, what does your day look like? Show me. If I fly it on the wall, looked at your day, is it business building? It's either working in the business or on the business. I learned how to work on the business very early, not realizing that sometimes entrepreneurs, when it's your product, you get so caught up in the business because you want it to be 5 star, you want it to be amazing. But guess what? That does nothing to do in as a whole of making the phone ring. So for me, it was reshaping my brain as an entrepreneur, as a mortgage company owner, as a team. I have a team. That's what we do here. It's retraining the brain that, and I learned that throughout the journey was not being the mortgage technician in it so much, you have to be great at what you do. If you're an entrepreneur and you have a product, you have a company, you have to be amazing at the specific thing. You have to change your head. You are a marketer. You have to market yourself. You have to get the word out. You have to scream on the top of the mountaintops. Andrew Russell, RCG, buying a house, use us. And how do you do that? It has nothing to do with the specific product of mortgage. It's marketing. So that's been over the last several years as well. A big thing in my journey, learning that I have to be a professional marketer. I have to build a great product, a great execution on the product, and a delegate. And once that's all done, cool. Now you have an assembly line. You got to get people to the assembly line to utilize your services. So the marketing side was huge. That's one specific thing changing my headspace. I never thought of, Andrew, you're a marketer. When you think of marketing, you think of people that do flyers, or it has nothing to do with that. It's brand ambassador for your business, entrepreneurs, and marketing. And the second thing is the difference, Jeffrey, of motivation versus discipline. That was big. So what is motivation? You come into the office Monday, you have your sales meeting, everybody's hyped up. How was your weekend? Oh my God, the Jets won finally the football game. We're going to have a great day, great week. Let's watch a video. Rah, cool, run out of the locker room. That's Monday. What about on Thursday when you have two kids and on Wednesday night at 1 a.m., one comes into your room and says, Daddy, can you tuck me in? I'm like, Danielle, it's 1 a.m. I know. What do you mean you know? It's 1 a.m. Can you just tuck me in? And you wake up, tuck her in, everything's cool. She had a bad dream. And then guess what? She comes back at 3 a.m. And then she says the same thing. And you put her back to sleep, and now you can't fall back asleep. So now you have a whole day planned for Thursday. And that's the discipline, going in there and doing it. It's the non-negotiables in business. Everyone's motivated at any point. It's a spark, but it's the discipline, the daily, the planning out the day and doing it at all costs. That is something that's helped me as well. And I didn't do that initially. That's something I've learned across the way, but it's taking time, mapping out what does working on the business look like versus what we said in the business. And then no matter what happens, having the discipline that no matter what happens in the world, that you do it. Everybody, we're famous for, oh, January 1st, now I'm going to start dieting. Oh, it's Thursday, Jeffrey. I'll start it on Monday. That is the opposite, the antithesis of discipline. Discipline is on a Friday or a Sunday with the team. You say, all right, this is what the week looks like, guys. Ready? Break. Cool. Monday comes. Monday, you're motivated. It's every second thereafter in the week. That's where the discipline comes in. And that's what the struggle, right? No one's going to do it for you, but that's what separates the winners from those that don't succeed.
And as you're talking about that, I'm hearing some of the specific strategies, but let me ask you this. If we take a step back for just a moment, Andrew, you are masterful at finding what some people call blind spots. We call them inflection points. Now, in this case, we're talking both on the personal side for you, but also on the business side. So you're picking up on things. Well, hey, we've got a gap here in the business. I can let it go. Or if I can identify it now, figure out how to deal with this, I can get ahead of the competition, maybe even create a market disruption, find out how I can be not just number one in my area, but number one across the nation. So you've done all that. How are you finding those inflection points, those blind spots that most entrepreneurs are missing?
That's a great question. I would just say if you're going to open up your own business and you're not obsessed over it, you're going into the wrong business. For me specifically, I don't know why. I'm obsessed with mortgage. I love it. I'm a part of tons of boards, tons of groups, coaching groups. I have my finger in all sorts of things because I'm obsessed with it. I want to know what's my competition doing right now? What are they going to be doing tomorrow? What's working? What's not working? I know people at other companies, other states, all that stuff. And it's just purely because for you to win, knowledge is power. How do you get knowledge as an entrepreneur? You have to be number one, you have to have the drive, which is I'm obsessed with the mortgage. I love it. I love the journey, walking a client throughout the process. So that's like the foundation of it. But then the obsession is you have to educate yourself. You have to have your finger on the pulse of everything going on in the space. Otherwise, it's just a lot of assumption. But that's what I would always recommend is if you're going to go into your business for yourself, and you want to be successful, number one, if you're not obsessed with what you do, and you look at all these entrepreneurs now on YouTube, and Gary Vee is obsessed with digital. Alex Hormozi is obsessed with the gym and growing his business. Me, I am obsessed with mortgage. I love the whole process, especially on a purchase. It's an amazing process. And then outside of that, if you want to win, you have to be educated. So you have to get involved with everything and anything where you can get industry information and get a true finger on the pulse, just so you don't have to figure it out on the fly.
That's what I'm hearing you say. It's this passion that you have. You love your business. You are curious about this. And the follow up for me, as I'm hearing you talk about this, and I love hearing this passion that you have, this curiosity that you have, for so many entrepreneurs, sure, it's like that in the beginning. 3 years in, 5 years in, they get bored. Okay, yeah, same blank, different day. You can fill in the blank, whatever explicitive you want to put in there. How are you not doing that? What are you doing to keep it fresh, keep it real?
Yes, that's a great question. How do you keep it? There's always when you think about business building, to me, there's always a new thing that you can test out and keep things fresh. So like for us, there's the social media sites. As an example, 2 years ago, I got into doing content. I was the worst person doing content ever. I am 6'3", Jeffrey, 250 between 320, somewhere in there, depending on the cheeseburgers that I eat, how many kids I've had. But no, but truthfully, I'm very intimidating if I don't smile. I look like a hitman. So my initial content was horrible. It looked like, I don't know, no one's going to watch. It was intimidating because when I get anxious, I don't smile. When I don't smile, it's very intimidating. So it took me a lot of time. Now I would consider us very good at it. We have a little bit of entertainment, but a lot of education. So now it's the same thing. How many times can I go into the content studio and do reels about mortgage? Hey, you want to buy a house? Let's price it out. So now we're getting into YouTube. So I feel there's a big gap in YouTube for a specific type of mortgage product called non-QM. I'm going to give that a shot. So that's something fresh. So as much as like I'm continually doing something that is repetitive, I'm now repositioning and doing something else. The same thing in New York, right? We're very New York focused. Now we're going to get into other states. We have a big outreach in Florida, in California. We have a West Side venture now, which is going to be amazing. So I think there's always new ways to revitalize what you're doing. The obsession is still there. Anything repetitively over and over again is kind of, you're over it. But there's always new ways to invigorate your business. Are you someone that's belly to belly? Maybe you can start doing stuff on the internet. Are you someone that just sells merch off the internet? Maybe there's something you can incorporate into big corporations. There's always a something. And that's why I think it's so beneficial to see what other people are doing. Because a lot of this isn't, unless there's something where it's completely, you're reinventing the wheel, there's always someone that can give you an idea that you can take into your business. And there's always a new way to revitalize and make your outreach a little fresh.
And as you're talking about that now, let's circle back to something that you said. Artificial intelligence, aka AI. Man, oh man, it is headlines every day. Massive disruption that's going on there. And on the one hand, sure, there's AI that's going to be specific to what you're doing, Andrew, and in the mortgage side of things. But generally speaking, as you look to AI, not just for your business, not just for your industry, but you as an entrepreneur, what would you want us to know?
So AI is, depending on your industry, very, very important. I was probably the last to adopt it just because I'm super stubborn. But me and ChatGPT have become BFFs, and it's really exciting stuff. I would just say that to me, depending on what we do for a living as entrepreneurs, it's not going to replace us. I
Hmm.
think that there are some tasks and people and some of the things that it replaces will be replaced. Just like you say, Blockbuster turned into Netflix. There's a way to pivot. I think Blockbuster had a chance to pivot. They didn't want to. So I think it's in any business. There's slight tweaks, advancements, pivots we could do with the AI stuff. I know that for me, it gives the opportunity for a lot of things that would have cost a lot of money. So that either can stay in the entrepreneur's pocket, which I definitely think is worthwhile, or the cost of your sale, the cost of your product can go down, be more competitive because your profit is still high because you're lowering your expenses. So it is important. It just, the algorithms on my social medias know I'm interested in it. So like I was just talking to someone before, stressing me out because like this AI, that AI, you want this coach, you want that coach, and literally I'm like, there's 600 Jeffrey AIs. I'm like, which one do I do? And like you get frazzled. But I do think that it's one of those things that we should really, as entrepreneurs, take time and learn about because within that whole space, there's a lot of money to save on expense, or there's a lot more profit to make and to do it efficient. So it's really cool. It's at definitely the early stages, but I think it is. If you ignore it, I think it's going to affect your business negatively for sure.
Interesting. And what I'm hearing you say, the pattern that I'm starting to see, your part of your secret to success, taking back the curtain, you have this insane curiosity, followed by this passion to succeed, to stand out, followed by, hey, I really want to help other people. I want to figure out what that problem is, see how I can solve that, see how I can be the first one there or to really stand out. And so for AI, this happens to be a means to an end. After AI, it's going to be something else when AI just becomes mainstream for everyone. But it's your rinse and repeat that you're applying what's worked for you, you're refining it day after day, month after month, year after year, and it's now turned into your winning formula. It's really quite nice to see in terms of what you've done. You know how you work, and from your physiology to what time I'm going to bed, to what time I'm waking up, to how I'm taking care of my body, to then the execution on the business side. And before we go into wrap up mode, just a few more questions. You've mentioned it, but let's talk about the team. You said a number of things about the team and how you want to work both smart and hard. And part of that is having the team. So, question for you, one entrepreneur to another. Some of my biggest failures, my biggest mistakes, hiring wrong or not hiring at all in some cases. So, when it comes to hiring, when it comes to putting together the team, what works for you? What doesn't work for you? What would be some lessons learned?
Amazing question. I wish you could I'm sorry, rewind 8 years ago and talk to my old self and have that question a year before I opened my company would have been good when I was in like bull in a china shop mode. So E-Myth is a great book. It's just one of those things in your business. Do you have the perfect process outlined? And then if you have the perfect process outline, what that looks like, then hire for the process, not for the person. You say, hey, listen, this is my need. And then you hire for the need. For me, I'm just one of those people. It's New York. It's grit and grind. I'm one of those people just like something goes wrong, hold my beer. I'll do it myself. That's not scalable. So that's a big mistake I've made. I've done it, but man, I've stressed myself out over it. I've missed things at times with my kids. I've had bad night's sleep. Maybe I had to go home and have a couple glasses of wine to calm down after a stressful day. Why? Because I wasn't delegating. Because and to your point, I had people there and I still did their job. So why are you going to have employees, entrepreneurs, if you do their job anyway? So I've realized the biggest thing for me is being brutally honest with myself, man in the mirror. What is my superpower? And what do I stink at? I stink at training people. You know why? Because it's super boring to me. It's not my superpower. My superpower is growing this company, business development, knowing exactly in the market what the right products are, how to market it, how to get business in the door. Having someone come in, all right, Jeffrey, today's your first day. And on your first day, this is what we're going to do. We're going to get you into your Outlook. We're going to have teams. Let's put teams on your phone, all that stuff. I just wasn't doing it because to me, it wasn't like the exciting thing. I've realized I have to hire for that. So the first thing I did was I realized, looking in the mirror, what are the things that I'm not great at? And then I hired for that. I was like, again, I had a lot of people on the bus. I don't think they were the right people or in the right seats, that whole concept. And that's only because I wasn't being honest with myself. I'm like, oh, this person looks talented. Let's get him in RCG Mortgage's ecosystem and we'll figure it out. Well, guess what, Jeffrey? It doesn't ever get figured out. You have to have a plan for that. So I had a plan on how to get business. I didn't have a plan on how to efficiently run a company and who to hire. And that really came after I was brutally honest with myself. Andrew Russell, what is your superpower? What are your superpowers? And what do you stink at? Because guess what? It's okay to not be perfect on all the stuff and then go out and hire people that are better at that than you. And that's what I did, specifically with training and memorializing SOPs, man, whatever in my brain that could not be more boring. So that's where we started, is hiring for the stuff that I wasn't doing just because it didn't interest me.
Okay, so what I'm hearing you say, and what I love about this, in our 90-day Deep Wealth Mastery program, where we work with entrepreneurs, hey, let's take you from where you are because your business probably doesn't run without you. No one's going to want to buy it. And you have the golden handcuffs. And let's have you, number one, to what you're saying, I'm going to fire myself in the areas that I just hate doing.
Exactly.
I'm going to fire myself what I don't like doing. And then I'm also hearing you saying I couldn't agree more. There's some areas, yeah, I probably could do it. I'm probably okay in it. I just shouldn't be doing it. Let me find someone who's going to take it over, even if they're 70% as good as me, 80% as good. That's okay, good enough, hired, because that frees me up to go on to my superpower. So you identified your superpowers, you identified what you don't want to do, you identified what you really like to do, and then you worked around that. How am I doing with that?
Couldn't have said it any better.
And for those entrepreneurs out there in the Deep Wealth Nation, they're hearing you talk and they're saying, yeah, Andrew, kudos to you. I could just never do that. What would you tell them of the first step they can take or how it could actually work for them and why they want to do that?
Yeah, I would just say if you are an entrepreneur or going to an entrepreneur, you have a great idea, you have to have confidence. I'm the most confident person probably in the mortgage business. Why? Because I'm educated, I study, knowledge is power, right? So in our space, I'm very confident. So that's a huge thing. If you're going into your business, it's going to be ups, there's going to be downs. There have been months I've lost six figures in the month. You have to be willing to dust yourself off, get back up with the confidence. If you don't have confidence, entrepreneur space may not be for you. But if you do, just understand it's a journey. It's worth it. You can build a legacy. It's cool, but it's never always bubblegum and rainbows. And that's okay. Just understand, take the time to celebrate the successes. I grew up almost like the successes weren't oftentimes celebrated. It's just you got it in the pit at times. I feel like entrepreneurs don't do a good job because we put the bar so high. It's probably part of the DNA of an entrepreneur. When you hit certain goals, celebrate your successes because guess what? You're going to have lows as well. And you don't celebrate those. It's certainly difficult to go through those. That's something that I think is important. And we've done a good job here celebrating our successes and KPIs and milestones that we've hit. But entrepreneur journey is worth it. If you have something and you believe in yourself, do not let anything get in your way, both mentally and just in general.
And Andrew, what you're sharing there, I can't say enough to Deep Wealth Nation. As entrepreneurs, I give us a failing grade. And I'm going to put myself under the microscope. When I first started my e-learning company, it was, let me climb to the top of the mountain. And in this case, it was a number of learners. And I said, okay, when we get 10,000 learners, Jeffrey's happy, everything's great, the company's ticking along. We're getting up there, 5,000, 7,000, right before the 10,000. You know what? 10,000 was enough. Did I say 10,000? It should be 20,000. 20,000 became 100,000. 100,000 became a million. It was never good enough. And what I learned far too late in life is that I shouldn't be looking forward that, hey, when I achieve this goal, then I'm going to be happy. Absolutely not. I need to look back so I can then look forward with joy and fulfillment. So to your point, Andrew, let me look back at my successes. And it doesn't matter if it was a big one or a small one. Hey, I just fired myself last week. I'm so proud of myself. Look what that freed me up to do. And when I do that reflection, it puts me in a better state of mind so that I can now move forward and be happy, not always chasing after the impossible. It's like I'm trying to catch the moon. You can't do it when we're down here on Earth. It's just not going to happen. I'm always chasing it. It keeps on moving as opposed to, Andrew, to your point, let me look back. Let me look back at my achievements, what I've done well. Let me celebrate that. And it's a huge insight for all of us entrepreneurs. And thank you for reminding me about that and bringing that out there. Andrew, let me ask you this before we go into wrap up mode. I have so many questions that I have not yet had a chance to ask. Is there a question I haven't yet asked, or a topic, a theme, a message that we haven't yet covered that you want to share with Deep Wealth Nation?
No, I mean, listen, I appreciate you having me on the show. I feel like belief in yourself, we've touched upon it, but I just feel like you live one life, time flies. My grandfather, again, going back to Poppy, he loves, he's still alive, but he's on the older side, loved life, loves life. And he always taught me time moves faster as you get older, faster. And I can say that. I literally, my youngest daughter just turned 7. My oldest is turning 9. I can't believe it. Next year, my oldest daughter is turning 10. And I'm only saying that because guess what? Now I'm 43. I remember when I opened my own company, I was still in my 30s. I remember in my late 20s making hundreds of thousands. And here I am at 43. So time will not wait for you, entrepreneurs. If you have an idea and you have belief in yourself, do it right now. After you, of course, finish this podcast, which is amazing, finish listening. But after, I don't care what you're doing, start now. Start obsessing over it now. Because guess what? You blink of an eye, you got a 10-year-old daughter, which is wild. And you're like, maybe some of this stuff I didn't have to wait and wait a year and wait 5 years. So I would say there's no better time, entrepreneurs, than now, because time moves faster as you get older, faster. It's a fact. Poppy's right.
Some great advice that Poppy gave. And speaking of Poppy and that advice that he gave, absolutely love that. Is actually a perfect segue as we wrap things up here. Andrew, here on the Deep Wealth Podcast, it's our tradition. It's my privilege, my honor, where every guest I ask the same question. It's a really fun question. Let me set this up for you. When you think of the movie Back to the Future, you have that fabulous DeLorean car that will take you to any point in time. So I want you to imagine now it's tomorrow morning. This is the fun part, Andrew. You look outside your window. Not only is the DeLorean car curbside, the door is open, it's waiting for you to hop on in, which you do, and you're now going to go to any point in your life. Andrew, as a young child, a teenager, whatever point in time it would be, what would you tell your younger self in terms of life lessons or life wisdom? Or, hey, Andrew, do this, but don't do that. What would it sound like?
I think it's twofold. One is self-serving, one is more emotional. One, I would go to my high school self. I would give myself a big fat hug. I would say, Andrew, sometimes things are difficult. The high school and just in general, getting older is difficult, but guess what? It's only temporary, and you're going to have an amazing life. Just whatever it is, let's turn that frown upside down when you're having the more difficult moments, because guess what? You have this amazing, fruitful life ahead of you. I think every teenager kind of gets in their head. It would have been nice if future self Andrew could have came back, a nice big old hug and that reassurance pudding I was talking about. And then number two, more self-serving. When I was in my 20s at the club doing security, being like, remember Biff told young Biff to get that almanac? Hey, Andrew, there's this thing called Bitcoin. You go out and I don't even know back, right? It's $1. I think I made at the time doing security, honestly, Jeffrey, $1,000 for the weekend. Take that $1,000, take the July 4th, the Labor Day, that 1 year. If I would have spent 10 grand and bought Bitcoin, man, things would be a little bit different. So that's more self-serving. That'd be the Biff moment. But it is true that everybody goes through ups and downs in life, but just knowing that just being alive is amazing. There's always a tomorrow and there's always opportunity, especially if you're an entrepreneur.
I love that. Even with your ups and downs, being alive is amazing, and we don't hear that enough. It's some terrific advice. And so, Andrew, the Deep Wealth Nation, they want to have a conversation with you, perhaps ask you a question about your success, or who knows, maybe they want to get some kind of a mortgage to help finance their business, take it to the next level, whatever the case is going to be. Where is the best place online to reach you?
Yeah, the best place, I mean, our website, guys, rcgmortgage.com. Our social media is pretty amazing right now. It's at I am Andrew Russell, two S's, two L's. Again, at I am Andrew Russell, two S's, two L's. Instagram, TikTok. We have some really cool content. And again, math might come across a little boring. You could see some of our entertainment. I have my daughters in our content. It's really cool. And I will promise you in a year from now, our YouTube page, it's going to be amazing. So we're big on socials. That's where you could find us. I'm available 24/7 unless I'm sleeping. I do, as we said, go to bed at 8, 9 o'clock. I'm up early. We're always available for questions, comments, anything of the sort.
And hey, Andrew, myself, early to bed, early to rise. Absolutely love it. Nice meeting a fellow entrepreneur like that. Deep Wealth Nation, the great news, it doesn't get any easier. Go to the show notes. It's all a point and click for everything that Andrew talks about with all the links and the resources. It's all there for you. Well, Andrew, congratulations. It's official. This is a wrap. And as we love to say here at Deep Wealth, may you continue to thrive and prosper while you remain healthy and safe. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
So there you have it, Deep Wealth Nation. What did you think? So with all that said, and as we wrap it up, I have another question for you. Actually, it's more of a personal favor. Did you find this episode helpful? Have you found other episodes of the Deep Wealth Podcast empowering and a game changer for your journey? And if you said yes, and I really hope you did, I have a small but really meaningful way that you can actually help us out and keep these episodes coming to you. Are you ready for it? The dramatic pause. I'll just wait a moment. Drum roll, please. Subscribe. Please subscribe to the Deep Wealth Podcast on your favorite podcast channel. When you subscribe to the Deep Wealth Podcast, you're saving yourself time. Every episode automatically comes to you. And I want you to know that we meticulously craft every one of our episodes to have impactful strategies, stories, expert insights that are designed to help you grow your profits, increase the value of your business, and yes, even optimize your post-exit life and your life right now, whatever you want that to look like. And every time you subscribe and a fellow entrepreneur subscribe, it's a testament to how together, yes, we are changing the social fabric of society. One business owner at a time, one liquidity event at a time. So don't let the momentum stop here. Subscribe now on your favorite podcast channel. You'll never miss an episode. You'll be the first to hear from the top industry leaders, the innovators, the disruptors that are really changing and shaping the business world. And maybe you're commuting, maybe you're at the gym, maybe you're taking a well-deserved break that we spoke all about on this episode. The Deep Wealth Podcast, it's your reliable source for the next big idea that could literally revolutionize your business. So once again, please hit that subscribe button, stay connected, inspired, and ahead of the curve. And again, your next big breakthrough moment, it might just be one episode away. Maybe it was even this episode. So all that said, thank you so much for listening. And remember, your wealth isn't just about the money in the bank. It's about the depth of your journey and the impact that you're creating. So let's continue this journey together. And from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for listening to this episode. And as we love to say here at Deep Wealth, may you continue to thrive and prosper while you remain healthy and safe. Thank you so much. God bless.